Hello and welcome back to Serie A Spotlight. We're your hosts Jake
and Matt.
You know what time it is!
I can't tell you guys enough how much you've been my internal monologue when thinking about football for the last year.
Yes, amazing! We get to record while drinking some wine. Jake and I will have a very special soft spot for Salernitana.
We love him.
We love him. Stop zooming in on Allegri's face, bro. You're gonna make
How
me
are you
break.
exposing me?
Because you're gonna make me break, man.
Hello and welcome back to Serie A Spotlight. This is episode 137 and we're your hosts Jake
And Matt.
here to take you through all the action of Matchday 1 in Serie A.
Finally, bro, football is back. Serie A is back. We have our first goal of the week, which I feel like we haven't had in ages.
It's been a while, eh?
We did the Coppa one last time, but not obviously as exciting as our Serie A. We've gone with Biragi's free kick that he scored against Parma to equalise. Those are always set up for crosses, but not for Biragi, bro.
It's a trademark goal for him and it is actually his 8th free kick goal since 2018 and that's the most in Serie A by anyone since then active.
Yeah.
That was a brilliant goal. Honourable mentions of course go out to Cambiaso and Imbangula of Juve, but very similar goals from the other side. Of course Cambiaso's coming a little bit cleaner. It was cleaner, Cambiaso.
But I like the low driven shot of Mbangula.
Yes.
And obviously no one expected Mbangula to start, which
they opened up
to
for
go
him,
better.
most of the defenders. So yeah, you underestimate him and he punishes you. That's amazing.
Exactly.
I think his first start for the senior team with Motta. Also, Dennis Mann had the lovely goal as well.
Absolutely. Dennis Mann back in Serie A. Obviously good to see him sticking with Parma through all the ups and downs. So
yes, he totally believes in the project. Let's just give you a quick recap of what we saw in Serie A this week. So Serie A is back and we've already seen Inzaghi needing to change at halftime due to profuse sweating following a temper tantrum. Zanetti in an open shirt and gold chain looking like he's just snorted 3 grams of cocaine as Verona smashed Napoli 3-0. Conte bitching and moaning about the club and the transfer window. Mosquera performing brilliantly on grass. He can do it. He can do it really well. Turns out grass is easier to play on than gravel or dirt. Parma's goalkeeper Suzuki showed us that he's actually a Suzuki samurai.
Yes.
Italiano, of course, is now at Bologna. So we saw an Italiano side with an XG of over 3 failing to score from open play. All 3 of Venezia's centre-backs against Lazio contributed to a goal against their own team. We also found out that Frattesi not only looks like Beavis, but he has the same alter ego in Cornholio. I am Cornholio! Absolutely rabid in those celebrations he was, bro. What do you think?
Mental.
Was it passion? What was it?
I'll never bitch and moan about passion in football. I feel a bit weird that it was the opposing team stadium and he's just kicking the glass. Maybe over there a bit more respect. Maybe if he banged on the glass it would have been a bit more appropriate, but it's football and passion, right?
Absolutely, yes. We also saw in Serie B, a little bit of an update there, Massimo Coda scored in the opening day of Serie B for the 9th season in a row.
That's crazy, man.
He just moves around, man.
You start a manager mode and you're like, let me make it realistic. Let me start in Serie B. But you play on semi-pro, you know, and you're just like, fuck it, let me stay in Serie B, and he's just smashing goals.
Let's keep it realistic, yes. Nowadays he plays for Sampdoria. He's been all over the place in Serie B. He's played for Cremonese, Genoa, Lecce, Benevento, Salernitana, Genoa, Parma.
And typically his team gets promoted and he makes a move and stays in Serie B.
Exactly.
At this point, it has to be his choice. I'm sure there was a newly promoted Serie A team that would have loved to have Massimo Coda.
For sure, even though I think when he was at Genoa, that would have been the peak time in 2022 for him to go there. He's kind of like one of these, one of these Instagram accounts that you follow and they give you followers. One of those bots. He's like one of those. They give you all the followers, you pay him, and then he's gone. Like, you never see him again. That's Massimo Coda. He gets you out of Serie B.
Exactly. But we're back, guys, so don't forget to like our content on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, wherever you guys watch your content. Drop us a follow while you're at it. Give us a rating wherever you guys get your podcast, be it Spotify, Apple, Google, so on and so forth. And don't forget to check us out on YouTube and drop us a subscription over there. Thank you guys for putting your efforts. We noticed that we're growing quite significantly on YouTube. Your efforts obviously are much appreciated from our end.
Absolutely, and a special, very special shout out to our patrons Ed, Alan, Andy, Lena, Jose, Luke, Tonna, Matteo, Matthias, Luca, Anthony, Michael, David, Kyle, Slooge McNoodle, Andrew Batman, Tim Campbell, Tanino Batman, Choco Loco, Joey D, Tony, David, Dikwan, Keanu Tyson, Stefan, Rob, and our 2 latest additions, Steve and Grima. Thank you very much, guys, for supporting our content.
I hope Kwan appreciates that.
I hope he does.
I really hope he does.
I hope he does.
Special shout out, by the way, to you, Anthony. It was lovely meeting you in Valletta last weekend. It's so great to meet you guys all the time. Anthony especially, because he's hilarious as fuck. And Zoe, if you're lurking somewhere in the background and hearing my voice, it was great to meet you too. I'm in love with both of you, and I hope we get to see you guys soon. Hopefully at your wedding. Yes, we have well, they didn't invite us to their wedding, but I told them we're looking to do an out-of-Europe trip next year. And they said that, I forget the actual destination, but they said if we're traveling Asia in August, we can pop by for their wedding. So a nice little...
That sounds nice.
Anthony,
we come crash your wedding. two wogs coming to your wedding and ruining it.
Exactly. Well,
the fantasy.
Yes, the fantasy.
So
Yes.
Matt is the champion.
I am last. Let me just tell you what made me last. Now I cracked it. It's because I changed my team before the deadline. I took out Goodmanson and I put in Thuram, because I'm like, obviously Goodmanson isn't going to play Matchday 1. What the hell am I doing? I put in Thuram. I made a few changes, and then I brought on Kefren, Thuram as well. I took out Douglas Luiz. I took out Orsolini and I replaced him with someone as well. I made a few nice changes that
was a good idea, replacing Orsolini.
Yeah, bro, but replacing Goodmanson was a top idea. Thuram scored 2. I replaced Douglas Luiz. He didn't start. It was amazing. I would have been flying. Not only did those transfers not count, but I got a -10 for making too many transfers at once, because it was past the fucking deadline, man.
Yeah, we get 1 transfer per match day, per round.
I got fucked.
Yes. So if any of you would still like to join, it's still open. You can join throughout the season, apparently. And you can probably catch up to Matthew very quickly. Shout out to our patron, Pieter. One of our latest patrons. He had the best performing team in match day 1. He had Castellanos on the team, Yildiz, Zaccagni got him a 14. That's massive.
Jesus.
Bremer, and then Sommer in goal.
He has Zaccagni as captain.
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah, that's why.
Kavicha as vice.
Very smart.
Yeah, very good.
This fantasy is fun. That has to be said.
I hate it. Man. I hate it so much.
Shall
we get into it? Yes, so the rundown, guys, the order in which we're going to do things is we're going to start things off with Genoa 2, Inter 2, one of the best games that we had, one of the opening games that we had as well. Genoa leaving it very late, but getting an equalizer in dramatic fashion following Frattesi's very eager celebrations. Verona 3, Napoli 0 had to be, I think, just my favourite occasion. Napoli, obviously, highly rated this season under new management. Verona look like one of the teams that are going to get relegated, but they made quick work of Napoli. Do not get it twisted, they did make quick work of Napoli over here. Milan 2, Torino 2. Milan coming back from 2-0 down, getting their first goal in the 89th minute and their second goal in 94th by who other than Noah Okafor, Captain Clutch. That was a ridiculous game. Shambolic defending by Milan. Fonseca even pointed it out in the post-match presser.
Yeah.
Lecce 0, Atalanta 4. I know Atalanta win a bunch of games 4-0 every season. I didn't think they'd do it on match day 1 because typically it was so early on. Brescianini scoring 2 as well, surprisingly. A great performance by Atalanta away from home. Lecce looking shambolic. Motta's men, Juve, destroying Fabregas's Como, 3-0, a new look Juve, and not only the faces but even performance-wise, they just look like such a well-balanced team over there, and Motta already seems like he knows his players so well. Playing Mbangula, who scored the first goal for Juve this season after being promoted from the next-gen squad. Cagliari 0, Roma 0. Romanisti had a lot to say about this game, a lot they're not satisfied with. Dybala coming on and looking like the only player that could create anything, putting Dobvik on a plate only for him to hit the post, but a lot more to talk about over there. Parma 1, Fiorentina 1. Fiorentina, a lot of work to do, but Palladino is a smart man and I'm sure that he will make adjustments following this game. Parma, on the other hand, looked really, really good for their first showing in Serie A in a while. Particularly the performance of Boni, the forward, and just the pressing that they had overall with those 4 forwards was absolutely ridiculous. Lazio 3, Venezia 1. Venezia look utter shit, man. They did open the scoring very well, but they looked really, really bad. Empoli 0, Monza 0. Both managers weren't on the pitch in this game. Both D'Aversa and D'Aversa, of course, he's still suspended. He was sacked because of his antics, which he was also suspended for. And Nesta, in some weird way, was also suspended. This was a weird game. Not too much happened over there. And Bologna won, Udinese won. Bologna should have definitely won this game. But hey, Udinese should lose a lot of games, but they always get 1 point. So that is, you put an Italiano side against Udinese, what else is going to happen? It's going to be an undeserved draw for Udinese. Shall we just jump into Genoa Inter, bro?
Let's do it.
The first one. Inter were missing De Vrij, Zielinski and Buchanan, with Taremi and Arnautovic carrying muscular problems as they lined up in their signature 3-5-2 formation with Sommer behind the sticks and a backline of Bisek, Acerbi and Bastoni. They had Darmian out on the right and De Marco out on the left, and a midfield trio of Barella, Çalhanoğlu and Mkhitaryan with Thuram and Lautaro up front. Absolutely no changes. The only thing that we see is Darmian starting ahead of Dumfries. Dumfries out of favour. I was hoping to see Inter at least sign a right wing back, since Darmian and Dumfries both aren't ideal for their system. Genoa already have a striker crisis as they sold both top scorers Gudmundsson and Retegui, but Ekuban, Ankeye and Maturo were also injured, and new signing Pinamonti wasn't quite ready for this. They also played a 3-5-2 formation, Gilardino's men with Gollini in goal and a backline of De Winter, Bani and Vogliacco. They had Martin out on the left, Zanoli out on the right, and a midfield trio of Frendrup, Badel and Malinovsky, with Junior Messias and Vitinha up front. Now, Genoa initially led in the 20th minute with a goal by Vogliacco, his first goal in Serie A, following Sommer fumbling an easy header onto the crossbar. Thuram then scored twice for Inter with a class header in the 30th and a clean dink over Gollini in the 83rd, which required quite a lengthy VAR check, as it did look offside initially. However, in the 96th minute, Genoa's Junior Messias scored the equaliser on a rebound after missing his penalty. This penalty was given away by Bisek for a very clumsy handball in the box. Obvious scenes in this game, brother. We already discussed Frattesi's mental celebration, so let me ask you this. Bisek made that clumsy handball. We've often praised Bisek as someone that slots in quite well into this Inter back three, but what did you make of his performance?
I thought he was chasing shadows for the majority. Well, he was okay. That's a bit harsh. He started off decently, but towards the end of the game, it was clear that he lost focus and concentration, and then Zaghi even criticized him for it.
Yeah.
Now, of course, I was away for the first match day. I was in Crete on a bachelor's.
Getting fucked up.
Shout out to Pete, yes. I was trying to watch on my phone, but my phone nowadays, the battery just drains, bro. Just drains. But from what I saw towards the end, though, he was chasing shadows. Bisek. At one point, Vitinha he took him for a walk.
Yeah. Vitinha, he had a great moment. He had a great moment that went viral at the moment. Do not let that skew your beliefs on how Vitinha played in this game, because Vitinha had a weak performance. At a point, he should have easily scored. There was a long ball. I forgot to give him the long ball, but he didn't control the ball. He didn't attack the ball, didn't control the ball, and Sommer came out to collect it. And absolutely floored Vitinha. In general, I just feel like in this game between Genoa and Inter, I don't think Inter had a bad game. I think Inter bounced back very well after Genoa got the opener after a goalkeeping error. I think they were very mature over there, and let's be realistic, the 2 goals that they conceded were from individual errors. So they went back up brilliantly, but Gilardino's men, when they get something on their mind and they play very how am I going to word this? It is very uncomfortable to defend against Genoa because they put these looping super high balls into the box.
At awkward angles.
At awkward angles, you just have 3 men marking one centre back and winning the header and flicking it onto a striker. It's a very awkward kind of play style. But Genoa's XG was 2.1 and Inter's was 1.9.
There we go. This was never going to be an easy game. Especially against Gilardino's Genoa. We've seen what Gilardino can do as a manager. To be honest, I thought that the players he had last season helped him out a little bit with the fact, the Goodmanson and Retegui tax. However, he's just lost 2 massive pieces to his team, and he still managed to get a result against the holding champions. I think that Gilardino, for what he did last season and for what he has shown this game, has the potential to be the next up-and-coming Italian manager.
I think so.
He's amazing, man. His man management skills are amazing, and he's got a good system, a very balanced approach that doesn't really have any obvious weaknesses. As a team, they're defensively sound, and offensively they're creative, man. They've got ideas. Even in the Coppa Italia, that goal of Malinovsky, that was an awesome routine that they did over there.
He said after the game, he expressed a lot of satisfaction with how the game went. He highlighted the strong defensive performance that they had. Not only does that mean their defenders, but also the density that they played with in midfield. Despite obvious challenges like losing their 2 best players, essentially, his team was still ready to fight and earn a point. He also spoke about the striker situation at the moment. He spoke positively about the arrival of Andrea Pinamonti, noting that he fits in perfectly as a striker.
Why the fuck you lying?
You don't think?
No, I'm kidding. I just really didn't like what I saw at Sassuolo. I mean, Sassuolo wasn't really the same thing, playing at that stadium and then playing in Genoa stadium is like day and night, He didn't really have anything, that extra push to fire him up, and I think Pinamonti as a player needs it. He really seemed uninspired at times at Sassuolo.
He also played as a lone striker at Sassuolo. This can make a world of a difference. This is what he mentioned about maybe a misbalance in the attack. He said with Goodmanson's departure, the team is seeking a player to link midfield and attack. He said Vitinha is a pure second striker and he lacks Albert's characteristics. However, they say Correa has qualities that are similar to Goodmanson's, and they are looking at Correa they would like to sign.
Inter Correa?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, back in the day, Inter.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where he's now.
I think he's back from loan over there, and they're trying to offload him at the moment. But it's interesting.
He can carry the ball.
Yeah, I thought Vitinha had quite a similar profile to Goodmanson, but of course I don't understand football as well as Alberto Gilardino. I thought that Inter had quite a clean game. But particularly, the player that stood out to me in this game was Thuram. Of course, easy to say that he scored those 2 goals, but 2 brilliant goals. That header and then that dink over the keeper and the runs he was making off the ball and the way that he was just being that target man, but also he's always so easy to find, and then he's so cool, calm, composed and confident in front of goal. I'm expecting him to have one hell of a season, man, especially after the start.
Yes, the main weakness about Thuram's game has always been his inability to finish consistently. He's quite wasteful. If he becomes a productive striker, a striker who can make the most out of his chances, he would become truly complete. Because he's good in the air. He's fast. He's got decent technical ability. He can take on his man. What can't he do? You know, he's a very good striker. You can pop him in almost any system. I feel a player like Thuram. But the thing is, can he get over this whole wasteful streak that he was on last season? Because he did miss quite a few chances last season.
He did. I think he has the right man to his left-hand side, because Lautaro, despite at this stage he should feel like he is the star of this team, he really doesn't act like the star of this team, because he's always willing to just play for the system and work incredibly hard to make the guy next to him look so good. And he does so much dirty work, and Thuram is lucky to have him by his side.
Absolutely, and Inter are lucky because he keeps renewing his contract for some reason. Bro, haven't you heard of Man City, Real Madrid, Barcelona? Come on.
Literally.
No, it's a pleasure to have him in our league. He's a very good player.
Yeah, I thought DeMarco struggled in this game as well. He looked incredibly human, but obviously that didn't stop Inter's attacking prowess, showing that obviously, as we all know, they're not one-trick ponies. I'll just mention what Inzaghi said after the game, after profusely sweating for 90 minutes and screaming at everyone. He was very disappointed by the team's performance, despite very good effort. He felt like the team played well in the first half, but slowed down in the second, failing to manage the game effectively after taking the lead. The equaliser conceded was seen as avoidable to him naturally. I mean, it was a clumsy handball. And the goals were considered as lucky for his opponents. He acknowledged the challenges of winning, especially with players returning late from international duty. Bissek was praised for his overall performance, but noted to have struggled in the final minutes, but Inzaghi remains optimistic about his potential. He also said that despite there being individual mistakes leading to the goals, that it was the whole defence and not just individuals that led to that. Not throwing him under the bus. He's not throwing Bissek under the bus, but I'm sure he won't start him until
I was
fucking
about
December.
to see if you wanted to put a €5 bet on that.
No, he's definitely not gonna.
He won't start him in next game. No way.
I
That's
don't
a
think
classic Italian philosophy, old school philosophy, and Inzaghi can be quite old school when it comes to this stuff. You're on a yellow, out.
But how classic, bro? Like Inzaghi's disappointed because they blew a 2-1 advantage. Gilardino's delighted about the way they got back into the game. But I do think, just being the middleman over here, that it was quite an even affair. Even if you simply look at the statistics, the ball possession sure favoured Inter because Inter control a game. We all know how Inter control a game, but shots on target were 7 to Genoa, 8 to Inter. Genoa actually had more big chances. They had 4 big chances to Inter's 3. The goalkeeper saves were 5 apiece. This was an even game, and one thing that I just want to say is it looks like in Matchday 1, every team has a 50% chance of winning. In Matchday 1 particularly, it feels like all the teams are even.
It's true. It's definitely a coin toss, because I guess for the small teams, or the smaller teams rather, now is the time to take advantage of the unrest at some of the bigger teams. The season started super early. Most of these teams aren't done yet. They've got many players in limbo, many players who have featured who haven't even trained with the team, you know. So if they can maintain some stability, put their heads down, work, and maintain a solid structure in a game, you can really upset one of these bigger teams early on in the season.
It's true.
Easier, better now than later on.
Exactly.
It's easier.
I mean, Verona, Parma, so on and so forth. They all managed to do that. That's it from my end with regards to this game. I think Inter will safely bounce back. And I think Genoa, despite losing some key pieces, they have a good team and a good project to progress and really aim for that top 10 spot.
Very good, yes. Hellas Verona 3, Napoli 0.
Madonna.
Brother, shall we move on to that one?
Yes, sir.
This was actually Conte's second official game in charge of Napoli. The first one being the 0-0 Coppa Italia knockout game against Modena that went to penalties, where Meret managed to save the day by saving 2 penalties, sending Napoli to the next round. They will now face Palermo, by the way, on the 25th of September. That game. Yes. Regarding the lineups, by the way, sorry if we randomly start coughing. We are both unwell.
Yes, Jake is still unwell from last week, and I decided to sleep shirtless under the AC once, bro. Once!
You slip
And I
up
got-
once, bro. Bissek lost focus once.
Literally.
know?
And it's an unforgivable sport and an unforgivable world,
Exactly.
unfortunately.
You sleep without a t-shirt in the AC, you're gonna get benched, bro.
Yeah.
Yes, instead of recovering, I went to Crete. So
Yeah.
that explains mine.
Brilliant.
But anyway, Hellas Verona were at home and lined up in a 3-4-3 formation with Montepo in goal, Davidovic, Coppola and Freze at the back, with Jackson Chachua on the right, Lazovic on the left, Serdar and Duda in the middle, with Castanos on the right, Livramento on the left, and Tenkstedt starting as the striker. These are all players that we've covered in our pre-season episodes. If you would like to learn more about these guys, go check those out.
Yes, sir.
For Napoli, they still don't have their ideal striker to contest dismay. They lined up with a 3-4-2-1 with Meret in goal, Di Lorenzo, Rahmani and Juan Jesus at the back following a last-minute Buongiorno injury. Mazzocchi was on the right and Spinazzola on the left. Turns out Spinazzola's son was right. Anguissa and Lobotka were in the middle with Politano and Kvaratskhelia playing behind Simeone. Yes, Simeone was responsible for starting in the striker role this game. Now, Napoli controlled the first half, but they couldn't convert their possession into goals. In fact, in the first half, Hellas Verona had an XG of 0. So they really just sat back and tried to absorb Napoli for as much as possible. And this is literally what I was saying about small teams being able to contain. Like, Napoli aren't going to be this bad for the rest of the season.
Exactly.
You know, now's the time to do this. And then, towards the end of the first half, Kvaratskhelia was subbed off because of muscle fatigue and dizziness, apparently. So it was Verona's time to attack in the second half.
This happened the first game of last season as well, if I'm not
With
mistaken. I think so.
Maybe he drinks a lot of grappa in the summer or something, I don't know. Yes, positive signs though since about Gvara. In the second half, Verona took control immediately and Livramento managed to score the opener, followed by a double from substitute Mosquera, arriving from the Colombian league. And it turns out, as we said in the intro, he can play very well on grass because he looked inspired, and that first goal that he scored looked exactly like most of the goals in his compilations where he's playing on dirt, you know.
Literally.
Super cool finish past the goalkeeper. He almost tees up like he's gonna smash it, and he just slots it past the goalkeeper. The second goal was more opportunistic, and then Napoli struggled to respond and looked instantly demoralized after conceding. It says a lot, that Anguissa was their most dangerous player, hitting the post and trying to attack pretty much on his own. He's a lively player, Anguissa, but this is obviously not what he does. You know, this is what he's meant to do.
No, and I think that leads us to, in my opinion, what is Napoli's biggest issue, and I think it's you don't have to have a football podcast to notice this huge issue in Napoli's game. It is the midfield.
Yes.
The fact that there is Anguissa and Stanislav Lobotka. Stanislav Lobotka is one of the most press-resistant midfielders in the league. He is super intelligent, super calm, and a great passer of the ball, but he's made for a three-man midfield. He's not a physical player by any means. He doesn't cover a lot of ground at all, and it left way too much work for Anguissa to do. Defensively, Lobotka is non-existent, and as you correctly pointed out, Anguissa bombed forward quite a little bit. If you watch the highlights, Verona attacking down the middle on the counter
constantly,
with a
relentlessly,
gaping hole, and that is what I said. The 3-4-2-1 formation or the 3-4-3 formation should be abolished from football. Now, Verona made it work. They had the 3-4-3. But, you know
it depends. You need the proper midfield pairing.
Yeah.
The double pivot is extremely important. You would need a profile. Back in the day, Milan, when they won the league with their double pivot,
Kessie,
had
Bennacer.
Frank Kessie and Bennacer.
Perfect.
Two lively, energetic midfielders, and one of them can do the work for two people.
Exactly.
In Kessie.
Exactly.
You know, Anguissa might be a very good defensive profile, but you need to back him up with someone else. I think that for Napoli, a 3-5-2 is the way to go,
yes,
to be honest with you.
Absolutely.
However, then it leaves certain players without a position, like Politano. And I would rather have, I don't know, man, I think the fullbacks aren't even ready yet. You know, looking at them, I was like, Jesus, the Spinazzola comment I made, for those of you, by the way, who didn't understand it, His kid tells him apparently repeatedly that he's not any good and that many players are better than him. And to be honest, he's right. I didn't see Spinazzola dribble a player once.
It's
He
true.
just he looked average. And the same goes to Mazzocchi, perfectly average. Yes.
And I as well, I don't think Politano fits the system very well, surprisingly. But the thing is, it is looking like Conte, even the signings that he's making now, they're all for a 3-4-2-1 because they just signed Neres.
Yes.
Neres is not a striker.
David
They're
Neres to
signing
Napoli.
him.
I'm going to come.
I did
Fabrizio Romano memes.
Yeah, they're so
They're
funny.
so
My
funny,
TikTok
bro.
is just populated. I want to smell your feet.
That's one of the best ones.
Knock knock. Who's there? Hello. Welcome to the club.
There we land.
They're so good. But they got Neres. Neres, they're clearly getting him to replace Politano. They're looking at Lukaku because they want him to be the sole striker. It doesn't look like he's going to have a strike partnership. I tell you, they're going to suck Napoli and then they'll end up changing to a 3-5-2. And that's when they'll get stronger.
And they have the personnel in midfield for it. I think they can make it work, a midfield 3.
I think they need to buy a midfielder. Maybe someone that's a bit more box to box.
It's true, actually, looking at the bench. They didn't have many
They
options,
had
yeah.
Zielinski before sitting in front of these two guys, and Zielinski's defensive work
The
ethic
thing
is quite high also.
The shopping they're doing is for this formation, clearly.
Yeah, exactly.
Bringing in Neres, yeah.
Exactly.
So, yeah, big mistake by Napoli. We'll see if they manage to sort it out. I don't know, maybe kind of tweak Lobotka a little bit, change.
Yeah, and you look at their bench.
It's so thin, their bench. I was just looking at it.
It's a problem.
Yeah,
Raspadori, Oliveira, Ngonj, Kedira, Marin, Sacco.
Like, honestly,
Iaccarino.
wouldn't they be better off playing a 3-5-2 and actually using Folarunshaw?
Absolutely.
Well, like, why are they
Yes.
trying to offload
Yes.
Folarunshaw? I know
Yes.
he had some beef with Conte, but
That's it, eh?
come on,
That's it.
Yeah.
Bro, Zanetti was killing me in this game. He was so
He
fucking
was so happy, man.
gassed, He was so gassed.
And the gold chain just constantly bouncing out of his shirt. It was hilarious. He looked like a proper, Italian middle-aged man.
Literally.
Like you could smell him. He probably smelled like expensive perfume with like an undertone of sweat, I have Conte's words if you want to hear them.
Yes, please.
Conte said
God. I could see it's an essay. It should be written all in caps.
This is how it always starts with Conte. In the first half, there was only one team in it. I don't think Verona had a shot. He's right. Having said that, we immediately let Verona have a shot at the start of the second half, and in the second instance, we went behind. Then we melted like snow in the sun.
Oof. Fuck.
Beautiful.
It's hard to hold a candle in the cold November rain.
What I feel like saying is that we should apologize to the Neapolitan supporters who follow us with such passion. I am the coach, and it is right that I take full responsibility.
Nice.
I humbly apologize because the second half was unacceptable. A performance that shows we need to work hard in every aspect. I came to Napoli with lots of enthusiasm, with great desire. If I can help Napoli, I will. We're going to start. If I can help Napoli, I will. If I can help Napoli. Aren't you taking responsibility?
I'm so
Yes.
glad. I'm so glad Milan didn't get this game.
Imagine.
Before match day 1, he's like, you're all excited. We're fucked
Exactly.
this season.
He's like-
You think we're on day 0? Bro, we're on day -3. Like,
Exactly. We need a striker, we need a right back, we need a midfielder.
our team is shit. He's just losing his mind.
Hey man, on the market, 1, 2, 3, 4 could arrive, as many as the club want to sign. The problems must be faced head on, and they are not necessarily easy issues to fix. Okay, and then after the match, yes, he said, I expected a better situation, I expected more positive surprises, but I had difficulties finding them. We are here to evaluate objectively with the club, knowing we cannot do everything at once and have to get there gradually. I look at the other teams who are consolidated and just making tweaks. I won't say we are at year 0, but close. It doesn't frighten me, but we must be clear so we know what we're going into. I don't know how long it will take for Napoli to become competitive a year, whether it takes 6 months, 12 months, 2 years, I couldn't say.
So very hopeful stuff coming from Conte.
Yeah, very hopeful stuff.
Said no one ever.
The words you want to hear coming out of your manager's mouth after the first league game.
Literally, man.
But anyway, I was really impressed by... Actually, we should probably comment on the words. I mean, there isn't much to say. He is right. They do need some more investment.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, however, I don't know what he expected. If if certain promises were made to him that weren't kept, that's another story. Probably that's what happened. When he says I expected a different situation, I highly doubt he was imagining it, Yeah. But anyway.
Like, it's crazy how they lost Zielinski and they haven't adequately replaced him yet. That seems to be such a trend in Serie A sometimes.
Yes, man. Hellas Verona's scouting network rages on. As Daniel Mosquera, as we said, from Bucaramanga in Colombia, literally brought in from the football team in Bucaramanga, where he scored 7 goals. Literally 26 games, 7 goals, playing for Atletico Bucaramanga. Who would have thought, like, this is the guy you need to bring in? Like, and they bring him in, he scores 2 in the opening game against Napoli.
It's crazy where they find these dudes from,
This Livramento guy, he was playing for MVV, granted. It's a bit more of a prestigious league in the Netherlands. 1 appearance, 1 goal, of course, so far. Last season, he had 63 appearances and 20 goals for them. He's from Cape Verde. It's just the profiles they bring in are so obscure. And I was particularly impressed by a press-resistant, tiny, he's 5'9", midfielder that they brought on. His first name is Reda.
God.
Which means hickey or love bite in Maltese.
Or to suck.
Or to suck.
To suck.
His name is Reda Belayane.
So he sucked a Belayane.
Yes, he's French. And he was brought in from Nice, where he only played 5 games, playing the majority of his games with Nice B between 2021 and 2023.
Very involved after coming on.
He was really good,
touches,
bro. Benacer vibes. Like
22 accurate passes out of 25. He had 3 long balls completed out of 4. He had 3 out of 6 ground duels won.
He really impressed me. He has this turn of pace, change of direction that's super smooth as well. Very shimmy. very very shifty as a player. He's only 20 years old, and I think we're gonna see a lot of him.
Ooh.
Yes. So that is my scouted player of the match day.
Fantastic. Well done.
Okay. But yeah, that's it. No league positions, thank God, because I always forget them.
No way.
Yes.
We'll do that after.
Hellas Verona are first. No.
We'll do that after 10 match days. I think it's actually Atalanta who are first now, but Verona were first. Their social media team tweeted, "Stop the clock.
The count." I love
Stop
that.
the count. It was brilliant.
You saw Atalanta brought in Samardzic, and they actually captioned it "There we land."
Yes, bro. That's
Legendary.
brilliant.
What a social media team, man. In fact, that's
they
a
brought in
perfect
Bellanova as
They
well.
brought in Raul Bellanova.
Really good signing, man. Finally, that Zappa Costa Hatteber side, man, is going to improve.
He's already been there. You remember they brought him in a little bit too early.
He
barely played.
Oh my god. You're right.
Yeah.
Milan 2, Torino 2.
Let's
revisit some old trauma. Torino, under new boss Paolo Vanoli, missed Vlasic, Pellegrini, Shures, Ginetis and Savva as they lined up in a 3-5-2 formation with Vanya in goal and a backline of Voivoda, Coco and Mazina. Bellanova out on the right, Lazaro out on the left, and a midfield three of Ricci, Linetti and Ilic with Zapata and Sanabria starting up front. Fonseca opted to start no new signings and to bench Theo, who wasn't 100% match fit, but this is the crazy thing. He decided to start Salamakers as the left back, which, known to be a right wing, and then they're like, okay, let's try this guy at left wing. Who would have known that the next step is putting this guy at left back? 4-2-3-1 formation, Manyan in goal, backline of Calabria, Tomori, Chow and Salamakers. Double pivot of Loftus-Cheek and Benacer, Leao out on the left, Chukwueze out on the right, and Pulisic playing behind Jovic. Milan initially trailed 2-0 with Torino's goals coming from a Chow own goal in the 30th minute, where he decided to control the ball on the line rather than just hoofing it out and the ball rolling over the line. And a Duvan Zapata header in the 68th after some brilliant attacking play by Vanoli's men. Champagne football, you described it as.
Yeah.
Milan struggled for much of the game with poor finishing in the first half and serious lapses of concentration in defence. However, substitute Morata scored in the 89th minute with an instinctive toe poke from a low cross, and Okafor equalised with a half volley in the 94th minute, salvaging a point for Milan. Can we instantly jump in to discuss the starting 11 fielded by Paulo Fonseca?
I think it's important to remember that right after pre-season, Matchday 1 through to probably 5-6, it's not about playing the best players. It's about playing the players who are the most ready, who are actually fit.
Yeah.
You know? Salamakers in pre-season showed that he is sharper than the ones around him, to be honest with you.
As a winger.
As a winger, yes. But however, then you saw in the second half when Milan were gaining momentum and trying to come back in it, Salamakers was very involved. Then you just shift his position.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not saying that it's an excellent idea playing him as a left back, but early on in the season, it's something that I can kind of understand a little bit more. And even the whole, like benching Theo, okay, maybe he wasn't ready. They've barely had any time off, these guys. Maybe he took his time off a bit seriously. You know what I mean?
Morata wasn't 100%.
As well, exactly.
That's why Jovic started.
Exactly. So I think it's about simply getting the fittest people out there.
I just don't think Salamakers was the right shout. Do I have the right shout? Perhaps.
Who is the right shout? Jimenez?
Musa would make more. Jimenez is injured as well. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. Okay. Milan already have a kind of injury crisis, but this is shit recruitment. Yes. They're obsessed with getting someone to compete with Calabria, and they don't even have a vice for Theo yet.
It's true.
So that is a problem that Milan carried out in the summer. Now Emerson Royal came in, and what's he going to do? He's going to be the vice for both these guys.
Perhaps.
Exactly, that's probably what's going to happen. Calabria will end up being the vice, I think.
Because Calabria can't do left back. In fact, he started off as a youth player. Calabria, I remember playing left back.
Really? An inverted left back?
I remember him playing left back, plugging in some holes. Back when he was quite young.
Shall we jump into the performances of Ciao and Calabria? Those are the two that I identified as it's funny because essentially it's Milan's entire back line, right? There was Calabria, there was Ciao and Salamakers, who just seemed out of place. If you look at the first goal and the second goal, three of those men, especially in the first, the cross came from Calabria's side to the far post where Salamakers should have had Bellanova, and then the ball hits the frame of the goal, goes to Ciao, and he scores an own goal. In the second goal, again, the cross coming from Calabria's side. By the way, you have Salamakers starting at left back, and they're still opting at every single attack going down Calabria's side because there's a clear problem over there.
It's true.
That he's often caught out, that he can't keep up. And the cross comes in from there. In the second goal, and Ciao, you see the entire defense shifting with the cross going towards the line of the goal, and you see Ciao shifting the other way, creating a gaping hole for Duvan Zapata to once again score against Milan. So many individual errors in defense, but that's not what Fonseca identified after this game. Much like Inzaghi said, Fonseca acknowledged that the team lacked intensity, but became more aggressive in the second half. His main concern said defensive issues. He emphasized that the problem was collective rather than individual, calling for the team to be more aggressive in regaining position earlier on in the stage of defending. However, you can't ignore...
That's where Fofana comes in.
Exactly, that's where Fofana comes in. And this new guy as well. Milan are signing that guy from Ajax.
Apparently he's a gem. He's really good.
What's his name? Vaz, I think.
Vaz?
As a 19-year-old defensive midfielder. It's VAS.
They're bringing him in from Ajax, I think.
From Ajax, yes.
Milan Ajax and it's
right, Vaz. I think it's Vaz.
W.
VAS.
VAS.
I think it is Vaz. Anyway, we'll get to that. We'll get to that soon. But clearly, there's still that same issue that Milan had last season, bro, which is the defense.
Yes, absolutely, and I think it stems from the fact that they don't have much protection nowadays. There's a bit of a hole still, Choftis as a player doesn't actually provide enough coverage in front of the defense. Benasser and Loftus-Cheek are players who are better in possession, much better in possession.
Yeah.
And I think that can be said about many players on this Milan team. Calabria, for example, doesn't bother me much in possession. He's smart, he can move well, he can make those decoy runs pretty well. His cross is okay, hit or miss, but
You're being kind, right?
yes,
Not
yes.
Calabria.
But when it comes to out of possession, when they're overwhelming his side, he looks like a bit of a headless chicken sometimes, nowadays especially. Yeah, when it comes to Chow, man, I think there's a very good player in there. I think even when you look at the duels won this game, I think he lost one ground duel and one aerial duel.
Wow.
He won like 7 out of 8 aerial duels. You know what I mean? He's a big, imposing boss. He's a very good, solid centre back, and he's got the physicality for it. He's got the frame for it.
He needs to get his head in the game.
That's
but,
it.
man,
He's too error prone, and that's the same with Calabria. The same problem. They're too error prone. So what you have with Chow, and then the problem is you've got a phenomenon on the outside, but he's too bloody error prone. And it wasn't the case when he first arrived at Milan, because he was playing with this confidence, with this love from the fans, and he barely ever put a foot wrong, and we're like, Jesus Christ, this defender is bloody solid. Now it seems like he got injured, came back, made a few mistakes, and psychologically he's not back yet.
What did you
I
make?
think Pavlovic can't come in sooner, to be honest with you. I can't wait to see him.
You think he'll start ahead of Chow?
Yes. It's an expensive signing, man. I think Milan, if they're going to spend that much, they're going to play them.
It's interesting.
It gives the wrong idea. It shows it's a failed transfer from the management if they don't actually play him.
Tell us about this Voss guy. It's Voss, not
So
Voss.
it's
Close
Voss.
enough.
Let me look up his wiki and find it. Yes. So this Silvano Voss guy is 19 years old. He's 6'2". He came up through the Ajax academy and has only played there. He only has 13 appearances for Ajax, and this has been since 2022. He's featured for the Netherlands international team from under 15 all the way to under 19. Only one appearance with the under 19s though. However, as a profile, he's very physical, he's very defensive, and he
That's good.
He can also play centre back apparently.
Okay.
So yes.
Okay. That's
His full name is Silvano Cliff Robbie Voss.
Cliff Robbie Voss. That's a sick. He
cool
could
name.
he could be a rock star. Moving forward now for Milan. Obviously Okafor came in clutch and couldn't have done that at a better time, because Morata is already injured for Milan. Apparently didn't come in 100%, and now he's injured. I don't know how long he's out for, but it's such a shame because he made such a difference when he came on. Now Milan only have Jovic, so what are they going to do? They're going to call up Camarda.
Fucking right. I don't even care, I'm hyped.
What do you want to see? How do you want to see Milan line up next match?
So I want to see Okafor starting up front personally, because he's shown that he has the instinct to do it well.
And I think Fonseca views him as a striker, because he said, why would I sign Jonathan David when I have no Okafor? That's what he said.
Okay, that's what he said. Damn. Okay, so he does. I mean, again, if we're looking at a player who can do what Morata does, Okafor has that. The potential at least to move in that way,
even
to press.
off the ball, the press, like.
And he's an instinctive finisher, man, which is literally what the only thing Jovic gives you. The only thing is that, well, maybe I'm being a bit harsh, because Jovic's movement is also very good, and it's probably better than Okafor's. However, that burst of pace and just having a front three that's so fluid and dynamic, I would love to see it personally.
Yeah,
what I think is going to happen is Jovic gets the start. Okafor will be brought in maybe later on in another position. And if disaster strikes, we'll see Camarda. But I can't see them bringing on Camarda without actually an injury taking place. Because I can't see him taking out Jovic and bringing on Camarda, especially when there's Okafor.
No, I think Camarda's going to be there in case of emergency. I think the main two candidates over there are Jovic and Okafor. I do hope that he starts Okafor, because Jovic is more of an impact sub. Okafor is a great impact sub, but he'll be better. He's more well-rounded than Jovic. I'm really hoping to see Reinders start the next game. When he came on, things changed. I don't think Benacer is the player he was a couple of seasons ago. I don't think he has the legs that provide that defensive, that box-to-box that he can track back, win the ball and drag the ball forward. That is missing in Benacer's game nowadays. He still has the press resistance, so on and so forth, but he doesn't quite seem to have the physicality anymore.
It's true. He's a very good player again in possession. If we've got the ball, we've got an elite player in Benacer. However, off the ball nowadays, not very efficient. It does feel like he's dipped a little bit, which is sad because his peak was so short. When he arrived, he was a yellow card machine.
Yes.
Yellow.
We found that
I
out
remember
from Fanta.
who had smacked him in the head. There was, I think, Leao. Leao had smacked him in the head for getting too many yellows on Instagram. He had posted a video filming Benacer smacking him in the head for getting too many yellows. However, yes, in possession, he's bloody elite. 98% pass accuracy this game. Ground duels won 4 out of 6, which is decent. Long balls 3 out of 4 completed. Dribbles successful 3 out of 3. He's a very smart player. Then the only problem is that total tackles 1. That's it. He's gonna win you 1 tackle in a fucking game.
That's it. No, I think Fofana Reinders is potentially the way to go. Not to say phase out Benacer completely or Ruben. But I think those signings are made for a reason. Quick word about Leao and then we'll move to Torino. I thought Leao had a solid game, but even Fonseca commented that he needs to be more versatile in front of goal. It's super disappointing when Leao gets into a position where he can be effective that he misses. He got into such a good position to finish after he outmuscled 2 players and beat them. It was incredible, but then his finish up against Vanya was so predictable. Vanya had dove before fucking Leao let his shot go, and an instinctive snapshot from inside the box that should have been a clear goal, and he sent it over the crossbar. He really needs to improve his output.
Had Benacer played him through and he missed, I would have been more pissed.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that he created the chance himself,
that's it. That's
almost,
what he gives you.
Almost doesn't bother me as much, because the finishing, I feel like it's something that it's still early on in the season. He'll get his shit together. It's true he's not very prolific, but usually in those situations, Leao does better.
His output last season, for example,
but finishing one-on-ones with the goalkeeper is not normal.
He's been better. He's been
massive problem.
He's been better. Torino under Vanoli seemed to be a way more attacking team.
How exciting, yeah. They were.
Yes, they were very good.
Ricci, Illich in the middle. Sanabria really upped his game with the arrival of Shea Adams. He played really well. And Bellanova on the right side was really good. Not to mention Saul Coco was bloody solid.
One of my key takeaways from this game is Saul Coco was one of the best players on the pitch.
Yes.
Really, really well-rounded defender. He's got size, he's got pace, he's mature. He was a leader back there for them.
Remember we were discussing if he's more similar to Rodriguez or Buongiorno. This game screamed Buongiorno to me.
It's true.
It screamed Buongiorno, man.
It's true.
Where is it?
Paolo Vanoli was actually very disappointed after this game because they blew a 2-0 advantage.
Of course he was. Yes.
He said despite a strong performance, not securing the win is frustrating. He said that they started the match slow but improved when they played with more speed, leading to their goals. He emphasized the need for the team to be more consistent and fluid in their play, which is funny because I thought they were pretty fucking fluid, especially in that second goal. He said the work ethic was there. He pointed out that his tactical approach differs from the previous season, focusing more on ball retention, which we spoke about heavily in our Serie B rundown. He also expressed satisfaction with the new signings, saying that they all played well and stating that they are valuable additions to the squad, but still said that it is incomplete. And with that being said, they've lost Bellanova, who had a brilliant game at right wing back, who I think is great for a Vanoli system. But they've lost him to Atalanta, but they have had their eyes on Feyenoord defender Marcus Holmgren Pedersen, who spent the 2023-2024 season out on loan with Serie A side Sassuolo. Fabrizio Romano reports that Torino have already an agreement in principle with Pedersen over a 3-year contract. He's a very attacking right wing back. He's also played left wing back for Sassuolo, who let Tresoldi go. Who fired Tresoldi.
Yeah, they cancelled his contract. Turns out they can't even do it in Serie B. Tresoldi. One of the worst, honestly. Now, I don't like saying these things, obviously, but he's one of the worst defenders I've ever seen in the league.
Yes, loads. But this Pedersen guy looks good, and he looks we saw him last season. He looked okay. I think in a Vanoli system, he's going to be stronger. And to be honest, I trust Torino scouting. Torino have made clever signings here and there. Like the signing of Saul Coco was perfect. Let's see what they can do with Pedersen, but I think Torino are going to have a good season, man.
Yeah, they looked really good. Really, really good. Very solid. And they caused many problems for Milan. Duvan looks like he's on form. Lazaro looked good. Karamoh looks like there's a player there when it comes to his technique, at least. We'll see if we can get anything else out of him. But yeah, what am I seeing correctly? Is Antonio Donnarumma on the bench for Torino?
Yes.
Antonio Donnarumma is on the bench for Torino.
Yes.
How did we miss this?
I saw it. I didn't think much of it.
This is Gianluigi Donnarumma's brother, guys.
Yes.
Okay. Crazy. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yes, over to the next game, brother.
So we have got spanking, our first spanking of the season. Actually, no, but our biggest spanking of the season so far.
Exactly.
It's Lecce 0, Atalanta 4. And Atalanta were away, so we'll start off with Lecce. Actually, Lecce played a 4-2-3-1 formation with Falcone in goal, Jondre, Gaspar, Baschirotto and Gallo at the back, with Ramadani and Balzahar Pierret in the double pivot, with Tete Morente on the right, Patrick Dorgu on the left, and Hamza Rafia playing behind Nikola Kristovic. For Atalanta, of course, this game didn't feature Lookman, who was trying to force a move to PSG, apparently, rumor has it. But it turns out that has cooled down. And Coop Miners as well, who it's been reported that he might actually stay as well. So we'll see what happens over there. Those guys weren't playing because they are massive cunts, essentially. I mean, way to do that to your team, how unprofessional, Just not even training, don't make yourself available and force your way out. That's so unprofessional. But the guys who did come in to replace them showed their worth, and it was actually really nice to watch.
Yeah.
So for Atalanta, it was Musso on goal in their 3-4-1-2 with Jim Hien and Derun at the back. Derun always ending up playing centre back. Ruggeri on the left with Zappacosta on the right, Ederson and Pasalic forming the double pivot, Brescianini playing behind Retegui and Charles De Ketelare.
Yes.
So Atalanta dominated 4-0. They showcased their strength despite Scamacca and Scalvini's injuries as well. And of course the drama. New signings.
No matter what, they can still do it, Atalanta. We often use the term plug and play to describe them, and it's the perfect description, to be honest.
New signings, Marco Brescianini and Matteo Retegui were their stars, each scoring 2 goals. We'll call them M&M from now on. Atalanta's control was pretty evident early on as they came out guns blazing, and by the 57th minute, the game was essentially decided. Lecce struggled to complete. They tried to make a double substitution after going 2-0 down, but then conceded a penalty right after. And to be honest, they looked down and out from the get-go. Atalanta do this to the smaller teams. We've seen this. They are so consistent when it comes to the smaller teams. They overwhelm them. Relentless wave after wave after wave of attacks in numbers. And this is what a 5-man 3-man central midfield area looks like.
Exactly.
It looks like Brescianini, Ederson and Pasalic kicking you non-stop.
Yeah, that's great, man. They've all got great legs in them, man. The amount of ground that they cover, their work ethic and everything. And that's the thing about Atalanta. I watch Atalanta, bro, and it's like they're all fucking Germany in World War II, just going on for 3 days in a row, attacking and attacking.
Yes, it's literally a blitzkrieg. Yes, I particularly liked Zappacosta's performance, man. I feel like he's a timeless player. He's a classic, Zappacosta.
I've never really found the need to criticize Zappacosta.
He's just a bit limited,
No, Bellanova is a massive upgrade.
Yes.
They're getting a player in his prime. Zappacosta has aged well. They're asking a lot from him at his age. I don't think he's that old, but he definitely doesn't have the legs that he used to have back in the day. They're asking a lot from him to still be playing in a right wing-back position, which is super, super demanding. But now they've got a guy that fits like a glove for this system, and I hope Gasperini takes a liking to him this time. In Bellanova, naturally.
Yes. Apparently Musso's been playing really well. He played quite well this game. I mean, we didn't really see much of him. But Gasperini said he might continue to play if he keeps this up.
Oh, wow.
So we might actually see Carnesecchi benched, which is alright for him, to be honest, because he's very young.
It's just a shame because he had a great season last season. It just feels a bit unprecedented to keep him on the bench.
But Musso, I mean, had a brilliant season the season before at Udinese. So I guess they've just got two crazy good goalkeepers.
It's true.
For this level. You know, I thought everyone played well for Atalanta, to be honest. It was almost like a
Brescianini was a very impressive debut, man.
Very impressive, especially
even
after
Retegui, obviously.
After Napoli failed to get him over the line. Imagine that Napoli midfield. He would have been that guy. Brescianini.
Literally.
Yeah, Milan youth product, by the way, for those who don't know.
Yeah, but this is exactly what you want to see from two new signings, bro? And imagine Lookman and Coop Miners looking at their direct replacements, thinking, oh, fuck, like maybe I need to tone down the ego a little bit and ground myself, because this team has made so many big calls where they removed players that were key. Papu Gomez is the best example. He was the captain at that point, but if he didn't abide by the instruction given to him by management, then he's out. And you know what? Replaceable. No matter who you are, if you play for Atalanta, you're absolutely replaceable.
Yes, very good. Regarding Lecce, I thought that Kristovic and Raffia were ineffective, and isolated, and they couldn't link up at all. I thought that they were often exposed on the flanks. They made many defensive errors. Basquerotto looked weak. Somehow Gaspar looked better than him, and he's just arrived. Gaspar looks solid. Second game I've seen of him, and he looks alright. I mean, this game no one looked particularly good for.
But in a duel he looks good. In a duel he looks good.
Exactly, but I don't understand
6 tackles, Gaspar.
How Retegui was beating Basquerotto so effortlessly in the air, time after time after time.
Gaspar, 9 ground duels, 1 out of 9, and 6 aerial duels, 1 out of 7. Kjolanda 73 touches. He had a very good game, bro.
Yes.
He had a very good game, Gaspar.
It's more the organization of the defense when Atalanta start, you know, because they're surgeons, Atalanta. They start passing, and then one player steps a little bit too much, and they just expose that area, forcing another player to overstep much, and they just switch the ball to that, exploiting the space, you know. And yes,
it's
very
rich
impressive
for me to say he had a very good game when they literally lost 4-0. The centre back, but if you look at him as an individual, I thought he performed decently.
Yeah, absolutely. A masterclass by Gasperini. And Lassana Koulibaly, the last thing to mention about this game, on his debut for Lecce, giving away a penalty.
Yes, not the best, but the team significantly struggled over here. I don't think. Now, I have Lecce to get relegated in my prediction, but I don't think this is. I think there's a lot more we can see and we will see from Lecce. I don't think they're gonna be like definitely relegated.
Yeah.
I think they'll battle for survival.
No, they'll get their shit together.
Yeah, definitely. First match against Atalanta is a tough one. It's also even tougher to lose 4-0 in front of your home crowd.
Yeah, we can move on to the next one.
Juve 3, Como 0. Motta still pulled a huge surprise, starting 20-year-old next-gen left-winger Mbangula and not opting to start Douglas Luiz in this game, as he lined up in a 4-2-3-1 formation with Di Gregorio on goal and the backline of Cambiaso, Gatti, Bremer and Cabal. They had a midfield two of Kefren Turam and Locatelli, with Mbangula out on the left, Wea out on the right and Yildiz playing behind Vlahovic. Juve Twitter was going crazy looking at this lineup, saying it's not an ideal lineup, it's a bad lineup, who the hell is Mbangula, why is Wea playing there, so on and so forth. Fabregas and his team were already knocked out of the Coppa Italia by Sampdoria, during which they lost Varane to injury, while Alessio Jovine was suspended. They played a 4-4-2 formation with Pepe Reina on goal, and the backline of Moreno, Goldaniga, Barba and Sala. That's Trefetz out on the right, D'Acunha out on the left, and a midfield two of Braunoder and Baselli, with Cutrone and Belotti up front.
You mean Braunoda?
Braunoda. Now, the match saw young superstar Mbangula opening the scoring in the 23rd minute with a precise finish into the far bottom corner after cutting inside from the left. It was a delicious goal by Mbangula. Juve had doubled their lead just before half-time when Yildiz delivered a cross from the left, which Vlahovic cleverly dummied, allowing Weah to strike the ball off the underside of the crossbar and into the net, scoring his first ever Serie A goal, much like Mbangula naturally. And Cambiaso sealed the win in stoppage time with a curling left-footed shot from the edge of the box into the far bottom corner. Despite coming close multiple times, Vlahovic couldn't find the back of the net, hitting the post twice and having a goal disallowed. But he was extremely effective and extremely good in this system. I do think that he is Motta's man up front.
He looked lively, he looked inspired. He was unlucky not to score more, hitting the post on multiple occasions, as you said. But I'm just surprised at how quickly Juventus have adapted to Motta's system. I thought it would take them longer, especially after the preseason that they had, because they did struggle in preseason. It takes me back to last season when their opening game against Udinese had a similar result. I can't remember, but remember we covered it.
Yes,
and
they
Chiesa and Vlahovic looked super inspired. That's what it reminded me of. But the goals were different, and these came through open play.
They looked so calculated in this game, and they had so many positive patterns of play. They used their width so effectively, and they're having these quick interchanges between the fullbacks and the wingers, and also the way they were shifting play, just never from wing to wing, never allowing Como to settle, and they're creating these holes in Como's defense just by shifting the play so well. And just so many positives to look at over here. Every single decision that Motta made was super effective. Mbangula starting and getting a goal and an assist at 20 years old. Weah getting his first goal, he's picked up a hamstring injury, unfortunately. But Weah starting as a right winger. He originally wanted to play striker. He ended up playing right back under Massimiliano Allegri. Cabal had a great debut at left back after joining from Verona.
He's good, Cabal?
Yes, he is
super.
Good. He is good.
He had a few risky moments at the back, but other than that, I thought he was really good.
A few risky moments, but Juve were in complete control in this game, bro. Cambiaso grabbing a goal, having 65 touches in this game and playing super invertedly and almost being that metronome for them. He was in the middle so often. Cambiaso is just... I can't describe to you how highly I rate this guy, Cambiaso, because he's a genius. He's a genius, and everything he touched was 100% accurate, whether it's a cross, whether it's a pass. The vision that he has is fucking genius. But then he executes it, man. And he's so clever, he's so intelligent, and press resistant.
He'll play a risky ball.
Of course, he'll play a risky ball.
He's very good, Cambiaso. I think he's about to have like the season that puts him on the map. He's gonna have his breakout season, his proper breakout season as a starter. I was really impressed by Kefrem Thuram as well, bro. I don't know what it is. I think if I ever needed a donor for Sarah to have a child, I'm taking like one of the Thurams, bro. I swear to God, I'm taking Lillian. I'm gonna be like, hi Lillian, can I just how are they so good?
Man.
I mean, granted, their dad is bloody Lillian incredible, Thuram. But it's never the case that both your kids are so good.
No, bro, no.
Jesus Christ.
And I mean the Weahs as well. I believe Weah has a brother, if I'm not
but it's not at the same level. I mean, Timothy Weah doesn't impress me in the same way that the Thurams.
No, the Thurams are brilliant. And I was surprised to see Douglas Luiz benched. I wonder if this is just a first game thing. Maybe there were reasons. And I guess he'll start ahead of Locatelli. Maybe he wanted Locatelli for that familiarity. Because there are so many new faces that he didn't want to kind of stun the team and put too much of a shock. So Locatelli would be a familiar
We could
face.
also see Yildiz going out wide and Douglas Luiz playing as the 10.
Very true.
So we'll
Very
see.
true.
We'll see what they do.
Yildiz, bro.
Yildiz with the 10. Jesus.
Madonna, man.
Yeah.
He had the most dribbles completed in this
What-
game,
what
grabbed
do you
an assist,
think?
but he's so good, man, Yildiz. He's gonna be the best player in the world. To me, there's no doubt about it. He's so young and he's so good. He's the best.
How? He's 19.
19 years old. Name a 19-year-old that's as good as him.
It's true, as it stands up. He's very, very, very good and very confident and tricky and intelligent as well with his passing. And you can tell he's unfazed by the pressure because he's the main man for the Turkish national team as well.
Exactly.
So he just honestly fits in like a glove. And I think he's going to be pivotal this season. I can't see Motta actually moving away from him as a starter.
No, I think he'll be a star man for them. Over to Vlahovic, even Motta praised Vlahovic. Vlahovic, we all wondered how he's going to play because Motta typically likes a striker like Zirkzee who comes in deep. He was coming in deep, man. He was coming in very deep.
Who, Thuram?
Vlahovic.
Oh, okay.
Vlahovic was coming in very deep and not orchestrating play, but like playing well with Yildiz, allowing the wingers to cut in a little bit. So he was important over there. He's going to have a great season. He's going to have a very good season. He's going to grow as a player. He just needs to find that finishing touch. He was very unlucky. Scored offside, hit the post.
What do you
twice.
think of the people who tell you, come on, guys, it's just Como?
As in...
Like, because we're praising Juve over here. And how quick they were to adapt, how well they played. What do you think of people who say this is just newly promoted Como? They were always going to win this game. You know, it's not as impressive.
But I mean, okay, it's fair enough. Like Venezia, if you play against Venezia or Como, but technically Parma gave Fiorentina a very tough game. And if Juve had some kind of chink in their armor, then I'm sure they would have, Como would have capitalized off that because they're not a bad team at all. They came second in Serie B last year, and they're a very tactically sound team. In fact, I don't think they had a bad game. Fabregas even highlighted, he said that they received a dose of reality. He emphasized that anyone expecting Como to aim, what he said is, anyone expecting for Como to aim for Champions League is super mistaken. It's relax. I don't think anyone was expecting them to qualify for the Champions League.
But they will grow into the season.
But
they looked like they have some interesting, intricate patterns of play.
Yes. And I don't think they had a bad game. They were just stunned. Juve were in total dominance, and I don't care who was in front of Juve because they looked very impressive nonetheless.
Exactly.
I think they if something happens to Vlahovic, for example, if Vlahovic has an injury, they lack depth in that area, and they lack depth in certain areas. Midfield isn't one of them, but even at centre back, for example, they lack depth. Their only other one is Danilo, essentially, and then the rest are all wing backs. So could this be sustainable? If the starting 11 manages to stay fit, then I think it's sustainable. But this doesn't necessarily mean that Juve are the best team in the league by any shadow of a doubt.
Gatti was wearing the captain's arm.
Yes.
That's really interesting. Yeah. Also, you know, Reina started for Como, which is bizarre.
I found that odd.
I found it really weird.
I don't know who their other goalkeeper is. But
Audero. Yes, and
Reina
Dossena was on the bench as well. I guess it's because they've just arrived. But yeah, Pepe Reina started.
He's a leader, eh? He's a
What
leader.
a legend.
La
vida.
Just a few comments on Como, since you brought them up. Particularly in midfield, they struggled to assert themselves as Juve dominated possession, and they were so driven. They were winning every second ball, Juve, and Como were essentially chasing shadows for the majority of the match. They found it difficult to transition from defense to attack, often losing the ball under pressure, and the few times they managed to string together passes, they lacked the cutting edge to penetrate Juventus's defense. When it comes to the adjustments that Fabregas made throughout the game to try to better this, they made several substitutions to inject some energy and creativity into the team, but they had little impact on the game. Whilst they had intent to press forward, I mean, I'm gonna start criticizing maybe some of their players, but they need some kind of, because they play a flat 4-4-2 system, or at least they played in this game, because they adapt a lot to the
opponent.
to the opponents. But Cutrone and Bellotti could seem very isolated, and they did seem very isolated in this game. They were struggling to get the ball to them, and when they were attacking, they ended up just having long shots from distance, because they either couldn't find the strikers, or Juve were defending and were tracking back in such an effective way. But otherwise, Como didn't threaten them at all.
No, and it was a shame to see Baselli falling injured as well. I'm sure it'll get better for them. Of course, it's one of the toughest games of the season.
Absolutely.
And they're new to the league, right? It was their first taste, so
Yeah.
they would have been nervous as well.
Your turn.
All right, so up next, we've got Cagliari 0, Roma 0. Can you pass me a hold?
Of course, bro.
Thank you very much.
I might fuck
This
one up as well.
Cagliari Roma game was a really entertaining 0. I thought it was really fun to watch.
It was a fun game. It was a fun game.
Funnily enough, one of our patrons and good friend Theo from the Profiles episode we had was watching the game, and he texted you, right?
How funny, man. Is it just me, or does this Lapadula have aura? And it's hilarious because he really does have aura.
Lapadula
We
has
spoke
so
about
much
it when we
aura.
went to watch the Cagliari game.
So much aura, like Calafiori has nothing compared to him. So yes, the game was 0-0, and Cagliari lined up in a 3-5-2 formation. This is Davide Nicolas Cagliari with Scuffet in goal, Zappa, Vietesca and Luperto at the back, with Azzi on the right, Augello on the left, with Deola, Prati and Marin playing in the middle. Zito Luvumbo and Roberto Piccoli started up front together. For Roma, it was Villar in goal, with back four of Angelino, Indica, Mancini and Celik in a 4-2-3-1 formation. This whole is a terrible idea. I'll continue when you're speaking. Yes. Cristante and Lefi were in the double pivot, with Zalewski and Sule on the wings, with Pellegrini playing behind Artem Dobvik. Yes. So they played to a 0-0 draw, which saw both goalkeepers lose track of the ball and almost conceding as a result of it. One of them came early on with Scuffet, and that was a close call. With Villar, it wasn't as bad, but Scuffet almost conceded. Miscommunication, I guess, with Luperto, or just a lack of concentration, because he was... I can't understand that. As a goalkeeper, how confident do you have to be to not look at the ball when you control it? Hey, it's rolling towards you.
I guess it's years of... I guess players don't look at the ball. We look at the ball where we play.
Exactly. To be honest, Dybala coming on in the 69th minute was a surprise, but it also was a significant factor to Roma actually coming close to scoring. He got a key assist that led to Dobvik missing a very good chance with a header, smashing it into the crossbar. But Roma couldn't break the deadlock. Cagliari had their moments as well, with Marin hitting the crossbar with a rocket. And a goal that was... 1 second. No, never mind. Marin hit the crossbar, yes. And then afterwards, the ball fell perfectly to Piccoli, who took really long to shoot. He had no defenders in sight. And then he fumbled it somehow. There were 0 shots on target for Roma in the first half, which is very worrying. And there were moments where the players were getting very frustrated with each other as well. Sule particularly was getting frustrated with his teammates, as he looked really inspired, but many things were going wrong. Zalewski on the left side left a lot to be desired.
Yes.
That position needs to be addressed for them, and we suddenly went from Dybala, Sule, Dobvik to Zalewski playing as a winger. You know, it's not ideal at all for Roma.
They're looking to fill that in, and Boga and Lauriante are the names that are being mentioned.
Who do you think would be better?
I mean, I haven't seen anything of Boga, and in the past 1 or 2 seasons, I think they'd be better off just hanging on to Dybala, man. These aren't satisfying.
Yeah.
They're only willing to pay 5 million.
I saw 3 million, and I think Roma accepted. The last I saw was that they're okay with it. And by the way,
not official, of course.
No. Pellegrini did score offside, by the way. I forgot to say.
Yes.
Yeah, so that was just a brief moment of euphoria for the Roma fans. But yes, I thought that Roma looked like a new team, eh? And Cagliari looked really solid. And Sardinia, a very tough team to break down. And Roma didn't quite have that creativity to actually open them up, to penetrate them. Because they were organized, Cagliari, with Nicola barking orders on the sideline, you know. They ran a tight ship. And it was only when the ball came on, literally, that they managed to actually penetrate them.
Yeah,
and
that's concerning, because that's exactly the problem they tried to fix by bringing on a player like Solé, trying to solve that issue that they don't perform when the ball isn't on the pitch. We have a viral video saying that 2 seasons ago, man.
Yeah.
Where Mourinho pointed that out.
That some teams have 11.
Exactly.
Yeah. The whole Dybala thing, do you know why they're selling?
It has to be his wages. His wages are
So
super
apparently
high.
they're high, but there's a clause, an appearance-based clause, that says that his salary will go up after it's triggered, essentially. And they're trying to not
when he
trigger
plays like 100 matches or something.
I think 15 more games he needs to play, something like that. But they're trying to sell him, apparently, before it's triggered. That's the theory. That's what's been said.
Because he gets automatically renewed and it comes with some kind of wage increase.
Exactly. However, I think they should bite the bullet, man.
I think
You
so.
know, I mean, he's the only player who can actually create something.
He can play anywhere in this team, bro, until start. Even at left winger, they're saying that they need someone that fits the system a bit better. I think a player like Dybala, you don't need him to fit the system, because he's so intelligent, he always makes the right move, and he can create something out of nothing.
It's true.
I think they're making a massive mistake, Roma. And this obviously is coming from the top, even beyond De Rossi, I would say.
Of course.
I think it needs to be figured out. I think the dream scenario is that they get to hang on to the ball, bite the bullet. He is on a crazy wage, though.
Yes. I mean, he was brought in on a free, you know? And you're only getting 3 million, so I don't even get the point of selling him. Granted, you
Literally.
relieve some wages, but do you want to compete? Yes or no? That's the question.
Exactly.
That's how just the business. I was very impressed by Razvan Marin upon his return to
It's
Cagliari.
good to see him back,
Good
man.
to see him
Probably
back.
after the Euros, because he had a
played-
good Euros campaign.
He played really well. Also, Zito Lovumbo looked lively and caused many problems for Roma. It's always
Of
going to
course
be the
he
case. Yeah. And Roberto Piccoli had a terrible showing on his debut. He really disappointed me.
No,
This
he
is the
wasn't
moment for him to step up. You know.
I mean, he's the one to watch this year. He's disappointed so far pretty much everywhere he's gone. He's at a side that need him, and he needs to perform. So it's go time for Roberto Piccoli.
Absolutely, yes. But that's pretty much it for this game, bro.
Very good. Next up is Parma 1, Fiorentina 1. Parma began this campaign with Del Prato suspended and Hernani, Di Chiara, Charpentier and Benedicciak injured. Their season had already started with a surprise Coppa Italia first round home defeat to Palermo. They started in a 4-2-3-1 formation with Suzuki in goal and the backline of Koulibaly, Balog, oh god, these C's in Italian sometimes. Circati, it has to be Circati. Koulibaly, Balog, Circati and Valeria at the back. A double pivot of Som and Estevez with Mihaila out on the left, Dennis Mann out on the right and Barnaby playing behind.
Apparently, we're mispronouncing it. A guy on YouTube told us. It's Barnaby or something. Barnaby. I don't know, man. He kind of corrected us by trying to write it phonetically. But of course, you know, I can't hear letters.
You know, for the time being,
Yeah.
I'm going to keep saying Barnaby. Because I learned the better way how to say it. 3-4-2-1 formation for Palladino's debut with Fiorentina.
Bernabé.
Bernabé. Fuck it, yeah, Bernabé. Fiorentina had Ranieri suspended and new signing Goodmanson not ready yet. But Amrabat surprisingly started even when transfer listed. It was a 3-4-2-1 formation for them. Terracciano on goal. A backline of Quarta, Pongracic and Comuzzo, surprisingly. They had Dodo out on the right and Biraghi out on the left and a double pivot of Mandragora and Amrabat. Keane starting up front with Colpani and Kwame flanking him. Now Parma started fiery with Mihaila missing a sitter in the 4th minute. They took the lead with Dennis Mann's curler in the 22nd minute thanks to a setup by Bonny. Despite dominating the first half and even rattling the crossbar, Parma failed to capitalise on their opportunities. First half Parma were definitely the stronger team. Fiorentina equalised in the 75th minute with a spectacular free kick by Cristiano Biraghi, which was set up for a cross. Pongracic was sent off with a second yellow card in the 83rd minute, but Parma failed to take advantage, with Cyprien failing to hit the target in a one-on-one situation where Parma should have scored and won the game. The one thing that surprised me the most about this game was Parma's press and the confidence that they had in their press in their Serie A debut. And Bonny is so pivotal over there.
Bonny's good,
a specimen.
How
Bonny,
fast
bro.
he is.
He's a specimen. He's big, he's strong, he's quick, he's smart. Wow. He's really good hold-up play as well. I'm excited to see this guy grow, man.
And how dynamic is that forward line for Parma? Sometimes it's Dennis Mann running through the center on the break. Sometimes it's Mahala. Sometimes with Bonny dropping. They're so versatile. I like Mahala's movement, but he was so wasteful this game. So wasteful.
He was. You don't want Mahala to have so many goal-scoring opportunities.
Yeah.
You'd want him to be a bit further from goal, but on the other hand, Dennis Mann and Bernabé, those are the ones that you want closer to goal. But this Parma system, it emphasizes those three players getting most of the goal scoring opportunities. Despite Bonny being good in front of goal, he's more of a hold-up play kind of striker that's going to play these guys in.
Yeah, exactly. I think that he caused many problems for the Fiorentina backline.
Yeah.
I think Quarta was out of possession.
Yeah.
More often than not.
And
it made Pongracic look worse though. Because he was forcing Pongracic into 2v1 situations.
No, Fiorentina's midfield was definitely the worst thing about their performance. I'll get into Fiorentina a little bit. Let me just keep highlighting Parma a bit more. Suzuki, 6 saves. And just a really, really good performance. I was not expecting this. Oh god.
And there's our light. Yeah. Shall we continue in the dark?
Let's fix it.
Yeah, don't worry, just keep going. I'll fix it in the meantime.
Okay, legend. Suzuki made 6 saves. Fiorentina had 7 shots on target, so he did stop 6 of their goals. It was fantastic play by him. Fiorentina, on the other hand, obviously it's a disappointing debut for Palladino over here. I saw glimpses of passages of play which show me that they are going to be a dynamic team. They're going to be a well-balanced team, and I think in a lot of areas they have the right players. I think Liba, bro.
Let's keep going.
I think that Keane fits the system. I think Colpani fits the system. I think Dodo fits the system. But I think that midfield-wise, they have to improve. They decided to start Amrabat over here, who made 0 tackles and lost possession 15 times in this game, and he's transfer listed. Goodmanson is going to be a great addition over here, as he will probably start ahead of Kwame, so they'll have Colpani and Goodmanson behind Moise Kean. I think they're in need of another centre-back, and I think they're in need of another central midfielder.
So they have sorted out the centre midfield position. They've bought someone. I can't quite remember his name. However, I was speaking to one of our listeners on Instagram, and he told me about him. I'll try to find it, and I'll bring it up when I do. However, that has been addressed. And apparently, Berardi is being linked to a move towards Fiorentina as well.
Really?
Berardi, yes, his name has come out of nowhere, but he's still injured at the moment, so it would probably be in the winter transfer market.
They'll probably get him for cheap, which is great.
Yeah, in the winter.
Very good. A lot of comments were made after this game by both managers. So if we look at Fiorentina first, Palladino acknowledged the need for time and patience as the team adapts to new game principles and new players are integrated into this team. However, he was positive about the team's spirit and opportunities created. But when it came to the execution from a technical and tactical perspective, he wasn't 100% happy with that. When it comes to Amrabat, Palladino praised Amrabat for his commitment and positive attitude, and he expressed hope that he can continue in coaching him despite ongoing transfer speculation. He emphasized that Amrabat's future will be decided by him and the club. So Palladino is out of that equation. It's between Amrabat and Rocco.
I mean, I don't blame him for wanting to keep him. You know, he's better than what we saw this game. He wasn't himself in this game.
No. Well, but to be fair, he hasn't been himself at United all season. I think mentally after the World Cup, he's just in a different place because he hit stardom after leading Morocco essentially to the bloody semi-finals of the tournament. After that, moved to United. Kobe Mainoo came up. He had a terrible showing at United. He had one good game, which was the FA Cup final, the only match we watched of United.
Yeah. So the guy they're bringing in, by the way, Fiorentina, they've brought him in already confirmed.
This guy.
Is Amir Richardson from Rennes. 6'6", 22-year-old Moroccan midfielder.
Oh, wow.
And apparently, he's a beast.
Really?
Yes. I've heard very good things about him, so I'm very excited to see him.
We'll see how he fits in. Probably a direct replacement for Amrabat.
Oh my god, he's the son of a former NBA player.
Oh Jesus, 6'6".
Michael Ray Richardson, whose nickname is Michael Sugar Ray Richardson. So from now on we call him
There
Sugar.
are so many sugars. I think Mandragora is a good fit for this midfield, however. Mandragora
But not out of possession. I mean, if they have the ball, it's true. But out of possession, he's so pedestrian. He doesn't really...
It's true.
He's got a rocket. That's his best attribute, I think. His ability to hit it from a distance.
It's true. Also, just going back to the defense slightly, it's such an offensive team. Quarta and Pongracic lacked so much communication. Who's going up, who's staying down, and then there's that Komutso guy. They got so much better when they brought on Coyote, for example, and he went in over there. Biraghi, I don't think he's terrible in that left wing back position. I just think he needs more coverage because he's not gonna bomb forward and track back.
Yes.
He's not that kind of player. You just need to leave that guy out wide. He's more of an offensive tool than a defensive tool.
Exactly.
You need someone to cover him. But going back to the comments made after the game, he said areas for improvement. Palladino highlighted need for better adaptation to his defensive strategies as the team is transitioning from a traditional defense to a more individual focused approach, noting that the 4-3-3 system that they played under Italiano was very traditional. But he's very confident and he thinks that moving forward they're going to grow as a team and they're going to compete where they want to compete. Good things for both teams, to be fair. I think Fiorentina fans will be disappointed, but I think good times are coming. Palladino is a very, very good manager. And this is a great case study of what he can do with the team. It's the first real test that they had, playing against Parma at home. And Parma, I guess this is going to be a massive confidence booster for them.
For sure. They came out guns blazing, man. They looked like they belonged, you know, and they look so organized, man. Not many teams have looked organized so far.
Pecchia's happy. Pecchia's very happy.
I can imagine.
And they have a very young squad as well. When you think about it, Bonnie's like 20 years old, man.
Yeah, the average age is quite young of the team.
And he said that no matter what, that they're gonna maintain their style and they're gonna continue to play their game, focusing on quick transitions and effective play into tight spaces. He acknowledged that they might be physically outmatched, but emphasized that they need to be smart and adaptable. So that is that game for you, bro.
Very smart. We had Lazio 3, Venezia 1 for Baroni's first game in charge at Lazio. And it almost went terribly wrong at the get-go. So Lazio lined up in a 4-3-3. It's almost like he never left. No, sorry. Provedel in goal with Lazzari and Marusic as the fullbacks, Casale and Romagnoli as the centre-back duo. Guendouzi, Rovella and Fisayo Dele Bashiru were in midfield. However, in reality, all we saw was Dele Bashiru because he was absolutely everywhere. Everywhere he was, bro, this guy. So impressed by him. Noslin started out on the right, Zaccagni on the left, and Valentin Castellanos started up front. Interesting that the Serie A holds two of Girona's former strikers, Castellanos and Odobvi.
True.
Jornen was in goal for Venezia as they lined up in their 3-4-2-1 formation with Zverko, Svoboda and Altare as a centre-back trio, also known as Dum Dummer Dumbest. No, I'm kidding, of course. But they were very clumsy. Yeah, they made a mistake. He just led directly to a goal. Zampano was on the left, Sagrado on the right, with Anderson and Duncan in the middle, with Oristano and Ellertson playing behind Christian Gitkier as Poyampalo is still injured.
This is not the team I want to see for Venezia, man. Their three best players are out, two of them probably moving.
Yeah, Tessman and Buzio, of course.
To be honest, I look at the squad and I think it's a mess. Jesus Christ.
It's true. It's quite a mess. I think it was better off the last time they were in Serie A on the match they won.
I think so.
So, Venezia initially took the lead in the 3rd minute through an Anderson curler after Rovella clumsily fluffed possession in his own area. But Lazio quickly responded with a goal by Castellanos in the 11th minute. Castellanos did it all himself. He pressed Svoboda, he robbed him of possession and then he slotted it home. Zaccagni then converted a penalty after Zverko's foul just before halftime to give Lazio the lead. In the second half, despite Venezia's efforts to equalise, and they did come quite close, an own goal by Altare in the 81st minute sealed the win for Lazio. It was forced by Lazzari with his good work on the right side. And to be honest, Lazio looked like quite a good offensive weapon, especially with Noslin down that side. He looked really lively, Noslin, willing to take on his man. Castellanos, for me, was a standout performer. He came close to scoring. He hit the crossbar with a header, and then he hit the post on a separate occasion too, where it deflected. He shot the ball. It deflected of a player, deflected off the fingertips of the goalkeeper and of the crossbar.
Oh my God.
Yeah. But I thought, yes, that Baroni showed up with this high tempo. They pressed aggressively. And he made good substitutions as well to control the game, bringing in Vecino. I thought they were really good.
I think Lazio are fortunate to start the season off much like Juventus against maybe a weaker side. I think Juve had a bit of a tougher opponent in Como than Lazio did with Venezia. But still a good showing by Lazio. I think we saw good things by individuals, which is always good. And even as a team, I think they were quite tactically sound. They didn't have much to worry about, but Zaccagni had a good game, Noslin had a good game, this Dele Bashiru had a good game, Guendouzi as well. The defense was quite clean. I think it's good signs for Lazio, especially when a worry was, are these players up to par? We'll see when they play stronger opponents, but it's a good start and definitely a confidence booster. Do you remember last season when Roma had just gotten De Rossi on board and they were fortunate to have those first 4 games against minnow sides before playing against Inter?
Yes,
it
I
was.
remember.
Perhaps it's the same thing over here
It's
for
true.
Lazio and playing Venezia on their debut under Baroni, because there's been a lot of change where they've lost key players in the past 2 seasons.
It's true. Provedel came up with a big save as well. I think overall, Lazio fans will be very happy with what they've seen. I think they would have seen that first goal and been like, oh my God, here we go. This is going to be a long season.
Literally.
But then quickly have their mind changed. As they look really hungry as well, the players, man. This Dele Bashiru, by the way, is 23 years old, born in Germany but represents Nigeria. He's 5'9". He is a Manchester City Youth Academy product. He has represented Sheffield Wednesday, 65 games for them, 5 goals, so he gets the odd goal as well.
Okay.
He most recently featured for Hatayspor, where he played 36 games and scored 8 goals. So the question is he a good one to take on fantasy football?
Oop. Great question.
We'll have
I don't
to.
know. Just don't make 3 transfers at once.
So you don't get minus 10.
Exactly.
But yeah, that's it. I'm very impressed with Lazio. Venezia, to be honest, fought with quite a lot of heart, and if it weren't for their individual errors, of course, they would have been much better. They would have actually stood a chance.
Eusebio Di Francesco, first manager to get sacked. Have
Maybe.
your say.
They came close to equalizing at one point, but I can't remember who it was right now. He fluffed his lines. He didn't finish very well.
Fluffed his lines is such a funny saying.
Yeah, it's hilarious. But yeah, that's it for Lazio Venezia.
I have a thrilling 0-0 to talk about,
Yes.
and I mean that in the most sarcastic way possible.
None
Empoli
of the
0.
managers were there, right? You told me.
Empoli 0, Monza 0. D'Aversa was suspended, and so was Nesta. Grassi was also suspended for Empoli, plus Ebuehi, Zurkowski, Perizan, and Bellardinelli injured as they lined up in a 3-5-2 formation with Vasquez in goal and a backline of Viti, Ismaili, and Valukovic. That Petzella out on the left, Giassi out on the right, and the midfield trio of Male, Henderson, and Fazzini, with Colombo and Esposito starting up front. Churia, Cranio, Sensi, Juric, and Mashin were all carrying knocks for Monza. That Pizzignacco started in goal with a backline of Izzo, Mari, and Caldirola. Birindelli out on the right and Kyriakopoulos out on the left with a double pivot of Bondo and Pessina. Vignato and Maldini playing behind Petagna. Now both teams had their moments but struggled with precision in front of goal. Monza's keeper Pizzignaccio had a good showing on his Serie A debut. Empoli had notable chances with efforts from Esposito from a free kick and Colombo as he cut inside and shot over the crossbar. Empoli were likely the better team. However, Monza's Caldirola also missed a significant opportunity as he lifted his snapshot over the bar. Now, this is an awkward match. I'm not too sure what to say about it. I mean, there were attempts or 2 shots on target for Empoli, 1 for Monza, total of 11 shots for Empoli and 6 for Monza. I don't think any team did enough. I think Empoli were marginally the better team. And they have talent, Empoli. They have some young Italian players like Colombo and Esposito and Fazzini who had a good showing. Bringing Solbakken in off the bench, he had a really good moment down the wing as well. Solbakken is a player that I rate quite highly. Empoli have the spunk about them. They were better than Monza in this game. I think if a team had to take it, it would have likely been Empoli.
This was potentially the first relegation 6-pointer of the season.
Yes, yeah.
So
I think Monza
the cautious air around it. You know?
I think Monza are down there. Perhaps not exactly relegation candidates, but they certainly looked like it. It doesn't help that the managers weren't on the touchline, of course. It really skews like what we can expect from these sides. But Monza, just to say, they haven't impressed me, man. They didn't impress me against Milan. They didn't impress me against Südtirol in the Coppa. And they didn't impress me against Empoli. But the season is long, and either Nesta will find a way how to work with this team, or the team will step up, or they find a new manager, or they make some good signings.
I thought they were okay in the cup, actually. In the Berlusconi Cup against Milan.
Against
they weren't
Milan?
too bad. I thought that by the end, Milan had grown into the game a bit too much for them, but I didn't think that. I thought they looked actually surprisingly organized.
Compared to last
with a young
season
manager.
where Milan had either won on penalties or they had won marginally in
But they were
that.
better. I mean, the investment has clearly halted for Monza. They came up with a bang. They brought in all these players almost Como-esque, if not better than Como. The players they brought in. But they haven't really invested since. They're trying to buy young and make it into a sustainable project now.
Petagna's back, bro.
Hell yes, bro.
Good hold-up play again. Good hold-up play, but he did give the ball away quite a bit when doing so.
Yes, a total of 15 times.
It was he's good at out-muscling the defenders, but...
And he has 50% accurate passes.
Madonna, man. So not too much to say over
The
there.
legend.
Either.
Catch him in our intro on YouTube, guys.
literally. But that's pretty much. I think again, good talent for Empoli. Monza, it's a bit concerning. We need to see them. We need to see them pick it up. But again, the title of this episode could be "It's Too Early to Tell." I mean, it won't be. But it definitely is too early to tell for both of these teams. But that's that from my end.
Yes. So this is the last one.
Yes, sir.
And boy, we have a good one.
Yes.
Yes.
Excellent.
Bologna 1, Udinese 1. So Bologna, managed by Italiano now, lined up with a 4-2-3-1 formation, of course. Skorupski in goal with Posh and Likojanis as the fullbacks, with Erlich and Bokem as the centre-back partnership. Freuler and Nicola Moro played in the double pivot with Orsolini on the right, Dan Ndoye on the left, and Fabian playing behind Santiago Castro, as Dallinga, of course, was not quite ready. But you see, this is a theme. No one's playing their best players yet.
It's
the
true,
fittest ones.
it's true.
And there's an adaptation period as well to certain managers. As for Udinese, it was a 3-4-1-2 formation with Okoye in goal, Gianetti, Biol and Perez as the three centre-backs, Kamara on the left, Ezibwe on the right, with Payero and Lovrich in the middle, and Thuvan playing behind Brenner and Lorenzo Lucca. Now, Bologna dominated the match, particularly in the first half, but struggled to capitalise on their chances, thanks in large part to Udinese's Nigerian eagle in goal, Maduka Okoye, who made several crucial saves. Orsolini gave Bologna the lead in the second half through a penalty, but Niccolò Gianetti equalised for Udinese shortly after from a corner, right after Skorupski had saved Thuvan's penalty. Despite Bologna's dominance, they were unable to secure the win, leaving them with regrets over many a missed opportunity. Now listen to these stats, bro. Bologna had 74% ball possession, an XG of 3.25 compared to Udinese's 0.99.
And they had a penalty, and it's only 0.99.
Exactly. That's massive. 5 big chances. The Udinese goalkeeper, Okoye, had 5 saves. Bologna had 7 shots on target and 493 accurate passes to Udinese's 131.
The Italiano.
Vincenzo Italiano has arrived. He has arrived, bro.
Welcome.
This is literally Vincenzo Italiano. You could change that Bologna emblem with Fiorentina right now. It's exactly the same. It's mad. But he was let down, bro. Dan Ndoye at one point. So a long ball from the from the goalkeeper, I think, to Orsolini in the middle. Orsolini, bro, was facing forward, and he just back heel kicks the ball first time to set Ndoye through one-on-one. And Ndoye is through all the time in the world, all the space in the world, the goalkeeper coming out, okay? He failed to hit the target, right? Orsolini had his own fair share of chances, which he shot directly into the goalkeeper. They were by far the most wasteful, Ndoye and Orsolini. As for Udinese, I think they were just hanging on for dear life and they couldn't believe that they were still in it for the whole game. Gianetti looked incredibly surprised and euphoric when he eventually scored the equalizer. But they were quite compact and they've managed to frustrate Bologna for most of the game. Yes, I thought that Udinese were actually quite decent at absorbing, at least. I mean, at most, let's just
keep in mind that this team, you know, you have Bologna who last season got Champions League football, and you have Udinese that narrowly avoided relegation.
Yeah.
So this is technically, a super result nonetheless for Udinese, and it's all the more impressive that they managed to only concede 1 goal when there was an XG that was so high. Obviously, it says a bit about Bologna as well, but this is what Udinese do, bro. Udinese can get a point. They can get a point, Udinese.
Yes, absolutely.
It's in their DNA.
Absolutely. La zebrette. Orsolini has scored 11 out of the 12 penalties he's taken in Serie A.
Jesus.
Also, I don't think it was during the game because he didn't get injured, but Cambiaghi's done his ACL.
Yes, man.
Poor guy, man.
Yes.
Poor guy.
What a shame.
He came on this game towards the end.
He just got his big move from Empoli, man.
It's
and
a
he
shame.
tears his ACL.
From Atalanta, I think. Because he was held hostage there and never played. He was owned by them, yeah. But yes, Santiago Castro, the striker who started up front, we know him, we saw him last season. He has 8 appearances for Bologna and 1 goal.
He's young,
from Argentina. He is 19 years old, yes. And he looks alright. Doesn't look crazy exciting.
I think he has a high ceiling, Castro. I like what I see when I watch him play. Dallinga replaced him in the 84th minute, so we got to see a little bit of that.
Very briefly.
But to be honest, this striker situation for Bologna, I'm incredibly curious.
Same, I wonder if Dallinga can actually influence them, because Orsolini and Ndoye were lively and they were charging forward,
even
creating
Fabian,
space for themselves.
Fabian was smart. Just his positioning is always so clever. Even Freuler and Moro, they had a good game. Look, Bologna, they still have a great starting 11. They still have a great team and they still have a good manager. As the season progresses, I don't think we're going to see them dip incredibly hard. I think they'll dip. Obviously, because last season they had Motta, Calafiori and Zirkzee. But you know what? This season they have they're going to get Ferguson back at some point. They have Ndoye, who is on the peak of his career at the moment, or Solini with the captain's armband, Remo Freuler running the show, and then whether it's Castro, Dallinga, whatever, I'm sure they're going to be fine. Even defensively, they were pretty sound in this game with Erlich and Beukema.
Absolutely, yes. They might do better, for sure.
Yeah.
That's it, bro. That was our first episode.
Yes, bro, and I think I caught a fever halfway through the bloody episode.
Yes, this was a bit of a trudge for us, guys. We're not exactly at 100%, but
which is a shame because I was really looking forward to this one.
Same.
The light.
The light fucking fell twice halfway through. But no problem, bro.
No, I'm sure it's okay. Thank you very much, you guys, for listening. We didn't even mention that Kalulu went to Juve. It's done.
Kalulu's gone to Juve, yes.
He's holding up the shirt and everything.
Yeah, there he is.
Oh, guay. Number 15.
Number 15.
Anyway.
And he's next to the guy from Suits.
Literally, the guy that loves cats.
Exactly.
He's so funny. He's so funny. Thank you guys for watching this episode. If you managed to watch all of it, if our coughing and chewing of holes didn't upset you too
The
much.
holes was a terrible idea.
It was a terrible idea. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll see you all next week. Much love.
This is Serie A Spotlight.
If you like Serie A or have ever liked it in the past, it's a good opportunity for you to listen once a week and you'll get filled in.
The football weekend, that's like the main dish. But then a few days later, you drop your episode and that's like the dessert. And the dessert is just perfect.
It's good, the cake.
It makes it feel like we're all sitting in a room together, just BSing with each other.
The atmosphere is fantastic.
I promise nobody will ask you to send boob pics.
Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit.
I love how you go into so much detail and show so much passion towards each and every team. Literally, no team is left undiscussed.
When I listen to you, it's like I'm talking to you in a pub. It's like I'm chatting to a friend and you're chatting to me.